What's up, everyone? It's time for the next AFL round preview. We're up to round 22, so 2 rounds to go for the finals series. Leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video. Now let's get stuck into it. Tonight we got a top 8 v top 8 clash. Hawthorn versus West Coast, first versus 6th position over in Perth. This one is Jetta and Nelson coming in for Barras, who is out with a leg, and Tunbridge been suspended for 3 weeks, so he'll miss the first week of finals for the Eagles, possibly the whole final series if they get booted in the first week. And the Hawks have no changes after last week's win over... Who did they beat last week? Yeah, they win last week over North Melbourne. So no changes since that win against North Melbourne last week. West Coast clutch win by Nick Nat-Nui in the final 8 seconds from that stoppage to kick the goal from the stoppage to put them in front by 1 point, basically on the siren. So unless they have some sort of miraculous effort like that again, I can't see them winning this match. I think Hawthorn, they're just going into their prime. I know Hawthorn beat them in the home and away last year for this match, but then West Coast turned it around, beat them in the first week of finals over at Domain. So it is going to be very critical as who's going to win this one, but I think the Hawks are actually going to get the job done, even though it's an away game. They travel very nicely, and they'll beat the West Coast Eagles. Next game, we got North Melbourne taking on the Sydney Swans. Again, another critical contest. This is probably the biggest match inside the top 8 left. Inside the top 8 v top 8 left. So North Melbourne, if they win, they're in the finals, and they'll actually make Sydney drop down out of that top 4 maybe. But if they lose, they are in a real threat next week to drop out of the final series. Now they bring in Scott Thompson and Ben Brown. Nahas and Clark get dropped for this one. McGlynn and Tibbett come in for the Swans. Huge in. Kurt Tibbett hasn't played for a number of weeks. Finally get him back. He is critical to their structure and has been critical to them winning games earlier in the year. So him, being good is going to help them a lot. Nankervis and Kieran Jack out with a foot injury there to the Swans, so they're not going to get into this one. The Sydney Swans, I think, will win this match. I think North Melbourne, they've been under a lot of pressure against top 8 sides. They've been putting on close-ish performances, but not great. Last week they got beaten by Hawthorn by about 6 goals, so they'd want to improve on that performance. They definitely want to get a win, but the Sydney Swans here would just want to take the form from last week. They played at Etihad last week. They beat the Saints there by 11 or 12 goals last week. They're going to bring that form into this week at Etihad Stadium against North Melbourne. I think they will beat them. I think they've won their last 9 games at Etihad, the Swans, so this will make it 10 in a row. On to the next game, the Tigers and the Saints at the MCG. Lambert, Elton, Callum Moore to make his debut, and Connor Menadue into that team there for the Tigers, with Vickery, Lennon, Drummond and Miles all being dropped after the loss last week to the Cats. I thought Vickery was okay the first quarter and the second quarter maybe, but just sort of drifted out of the game very late there and only scored a goal in the last minute, I guess. Ben Lennon made a lot of errors last week. He would definitely want to improve on that performance. And for the for the Saints, they actually bring in Geary, who's a very big in for them. Jason Holmes, the big American ruckman, and Loney comes in as well. Minchington omitted. Ticky out with the calf, and Fisher with the hamstring. So that's a big out there, Sam Fisher, but obviously Geary can come back in to sort of fill that defensive hole. I think Richmond, they've definitely got a lot to work with for next year. I like to say, I know Richmond better than I know every other team in the competition, obviously, because I watch them in and out every week. So Callum Moore, he's going to make his debut. He is supposed to be very, very quick and a very good user of the ball. So watch out for him in his debut this weekend. And you would, I don't know why Todd Alton's in the team, maybe to play up forward instead of Vickery, because, interesting. So we've taken out 3 sort of forwards there, Vickery, Lennon and Drummond. Drummond's sort of a mid-range forward midfielder, and then Vickery and Lennon are sort of tall forwards. So I guess that's why Elton comes in to get his opportunity there, and you bring in like a Menadue as a high half forward and a Lambert who can run through the midfield as well. Anyway, we'll have a look at that in more detail. I think the Tigers are going to win this week because go Tigers. Anyway, next game, the Giants are taking on the Dockers at Spotless Stadium, or in Canberra. It's at Spotless Stadium, yes. So Hopper and Wilson in for the Giants. Kennedy and Kennedy out for the Giants. there. And then you've got Sutcliffe, Taberner, and Griffin in for the Dockers. Sandland's out with the glute. Hughes has been dropped, and Pavlich has been rested ahead of what we believe will be his final game next week. Of his career. So fantastic from Matty Pav. Great career. Obviously, we'll find out more about that next week, whether or not he's going to play on, but I would safely assume that next week will be his final game against the Dogs, a home send-off game. Don't let him travel. Don't make him travel. Giants will smash Fremantle in this one by a number of points and get their percentage up there. They just need someone in the top 4 to drop a game so they can get in there. Next game, we got Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows. Showdown time. Need Schultz and Tumpus in for Dixon with the ankle, Austin with the groin, and Wingard with the hamstring injury. So sort of pretty much straight swaps there. Dixon for Schultz and Need in for Wingard. So that's how that goes. And for the Crows, Sam Jacobs comes back into the side after a couple of weeks with an ankle injury. So they will welcome him back. And I believe that the Adelaide Crows should win this game, although, you never know. It's a showdown. It generally doesn't really matter where the sides are on the ladder. It's always generally a pretty good game, but I think the Crows will get over the line in that showdown. Next game, we go to Saturday night as well. Crocker comes in for Adams. This is Collingwood taking on the Gold Coast Suns, by the way. And then for the Gold Coast, you got Sexton, Lemons, and Fiorini in for Schoenfeld, Hallahan, and Joyce as well. And Dion Pressia just nominated his club of choice, Richmond, get around him. So hopefully we get him. I would trade pick 6, just, pick 6, straight swap. You can either take a gamble on, pick 6 could be a potential future superstar, or you already know someone who's an A grader in Dion Pressia, or he's sort of a B plus grader, but he'd be working his way into an A grader, about to be in the prime of his career. So you just straight swap. You've already got a developed player. Just take him. Do it. Just smart. Anyway, Sumner, the next game. Who was the last game? I don't even know. Collingwood and the Gold Coast. The Collingwood will win this one. Gold Coast lost to Essendon last week. I don't think they're going to improve on that effort with these changes. So Collingwood will win this one. Next game, Carlton and Melbourne. Melbourne need a win to keep their finals chances alive. This is Sunday. Early game, Sumner, Everett, and Graham in for the Blues into that squad of 25, as well as Mitchie, Wiedemann, and Neil Bullen in for the D's into their squad of 25. No changes yet for either team, but we could definitely see that happen. I think the Demons are going to win this one because they want it more. They need to keep their finals hopes alive. Lose, you're out of the race. Win, you're somewhat still in it, provided North Melbourne lose on the Saturday. So if North win, I think Carlton will win. Actually, no, Melbourne will win anyway. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, Dean. Melbourne are going to win regardless. And they will get their 11th win of the season. Next game on Sunday afternoon, the Brisbane Lions take on Geelong. Gee, is this the Channel 7 game? Oh, this is going to be horrible viewing. Clayton Bell, Dawson, and Payne in for the Brisbane Lions with Close out with the knee. He was pretty good last week. Kicked 4 goals, Michael Close. And for the Cats, no changes after their win last week. But Mackie, Buse, and Lang into that squad of 25. So you could see a couple of players coming out with Mackie and maybe Darcy Lang into that Geelong team. Now, the Cats, they're going to win. They normally play pretty well at the Gabba, I think, Geelong. And Brisbane, even though they had a win last week, I don't know that they had it against a great calibre team in Carlton, who have all sorts of list issues of their own. And Geelong, they'll definitely win this one. And they need some percentage, Geelong. They really do. To keep themselves into that top 4, they need some percentage. Or to get a home final anyway, they need a percentage. Boosting game, and this could be the one to do it. Next, we have Essendon and the Western Bulldogs, the final game of the round. Darcy Parish, Mason Redmond, Carl Langford, and Mark Jamar come into that squad of 25 for the Bombers, with Polkinghorn the only one out, so Parish the only one locked in at the moment. And for the Dogs, McLean, Stevens, Wilson, and Smith come in for Suckling with the Achilles injury. The Dogs, you'd think they're going to win this one. They had some pretty poor... They had a poor performance in round 23 of the last season against the Brisbane Lions, which they kind of needed to win. But they didn't win that one. The Bombers will not win this one. The Dogs will get a win here And hopefully for them, or maybe if they get the win, it may jump them ahead of the West Coast Eagles if West Coast lose. So this is where the top 8 sides are really critical at the moment. Hawthorn need a win to stay on top. If West Coast lose, it could kill their home final chances. North Melbourne need a win to stay in the top 8. The Giants need a win to stay in touch with the top 4, if not to get into the top 4. The Crows need a win to stay in the top 4. The Swans need a win to stay in the top 4. And Geelong need percentage as well to keep themselves in the home final race for the top 4. But I think they're kind of out of that chance at the moment. So they need a win and win well to keep their top 4 alive, because they play Melbourne next week. And if Melbourne are trying to get in the 8 and Melbourne beat them and Geelong lose, Geelong could drop out of the top 4 and maybe play Melbourne the week after. So many scenarios that I just ran through my head right then, and I'm sure you had no idea what any of them were. Anyway, that is it for this week's football preview. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, leave a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and until next time, I will see you all later. Bye-bye. That was a terrible wave. Bye-bye.